Hello, Adrian.
Hi, Bill. How are you?
Super. Welcome back.
Thanks.
Looking refreshed and all energized.
I am very. It was really nice. It was definitely needed and so worth it. So,
Yep. Awesome. Good.
how's your summer going?
Doing what you see right here. A lot of work.
There you go.
Yep.
Well, take it from me. You got to plan some time off.
Yeah. Coming up first week of August.
Oh, good. Good. That's awesome. Who else is he? I see Barry twice. What's going on with you, Barry? Hello, Dave. How are you?
I'm fine. How are you?
All right.
Good.
Here for more. Hi, Jillian. Thanks for being here. Okay, I see Dave, Bill, and Barry. Barry, can we test out your mic and camera, see if it's working?
We'll take that as a no, I guess.
I guess not, huh? I guess not. I have to figure out where to put the group for now, so I'm not looking away. Hi, Linda. Hello, Barry. Sergeant. There's Anjo. Hi, Anjo. And we are only awaiting our esteemed chairman.
Be right back.
Oh, there's Barry. Your video is working. You want to try audio?
Good evening, Barry.
No, we can't hear you at all. It's not working. Hello, Chairman. How are you tonight?
I'm well, yourself?
I'm doing very well. Oh, is that you, Barry? Are you trying it now?
I'm trying it now. Can you hear me?
Yes, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.
Let me just grab a cup of coffee. All righty then. How was your vacation?
It was wonderful. It was great.
You're recharged?
I am mostly recharged. Yeah. You know, so
Mostly? Come on.
I did an okay job of pacing myself. So I didn't need a vacation from the vacation, but you know, that doesn't mean I'm not like back at it 100%, which I am now.
That's good.
Are the kids in summer camp?
Kids are in camp. Yep. They're in camp for the summer. Have fun. Off you go. They are loving it. They are.
I remember camp.
I know. Archery,
Hmm?
arts and crafts. They're coming home with all the bracelets, you know, the,
Right.
So the macrame,
yeah.
yeah.
Isn't that funny? Some things never change.
What was that plastic twine that we used to make like bracelets out of?
Gimp,
Yep.
gimp.
Yep.
Yeah, that was it. I used to love that. I did.
I'll
You
be
could
sure to
make-
get you some.
Octagons, shapes.
Guess what you're getting for Christmas?
That, yeah. I'll
All
start
right.
now.
All right. So what do we have? We have a full complement, one short still, right?
No, we have all parties.
But don't we have a gap still in our? Don't we have one more commissioner?
Oh, yeah. Well, we have space for a commissioner. However, that commissioner has not been seated yet.
Okay. All right, shall we begin?
We shall.
You want to, did you want to start off with, I was contacted by the mayor's office saying, I don't know if we want to do a straw poll, but they were asking if we wanted to go back to in-person meetings either August or September, and I said I would talk to the commission.
Sure. I think that is a bigger conversation, so we can probably take it offline.
Okay,
We got a long meeting ahead of us.
yeah, okay.
Can I suggest waiting till the end of the meeting to discuss that?
What if we discuss it next time around?
Or next time around, but at the end of the meeting, not at the beginning of the meeting?
Right, yeah, we've got way too much for that
I
today.
agree. So we'll table it to the next meeting.
Very good. So welcome to the Wednesday, July 21st, 2021 meeting of the Gloucester Conservation Commission. Consistent with Chapter 20 of the Acts of 2021, this meeting will be conducted by remote participation. The public may not physically attend this meeting, but every effort will be made to allow the public to view and listen to the meeting in real time and participate when necessary. Persons who wish to do so are invited to view the meeting at the link provided on the City of Gloucester website remote meetings page, or join by phone by dialing any of the numbers posted with the meeting notice and agenda. In the event that a live transmission proves unworkable for any reason, an audio or video recording, transcript, or other comprehensive record of the meeting will be made available on the city's website as soon as possible. I will begin with a roll call. Commissioner Charpentier,
Here,
Commissioner Cook,
Here,
Commissioner Gradwall,
Oh,
you are,
he's there, he's talking.
I see that you are here. Commissioner Sargent,
Here,
Co-Chairwoman Jackson,
Here.
and Co-Chairman Gullah.
Here.
Thank you. And before we begin, I want to just inform the commission, if you haven't seen the revised meeting notice agenda that was posted this afternoon, items to be continued are ANRAD 0282765, request to continue to September 15. NOI 0282785, 167 Atlantic Street, Lot 1, NOI 028 unnumbered, 167 Atlantic Street, Lot 2, NOI 0282784, 167 Atlantic Street, Lot 3, request to continue to August 4th. NOI 0282786, 6573 Essex Avenue, request to continue to August 4th, and RDA 1703 Salt Island, request to continue to August 18th. So our continued business deck is clearing rapidly.
You know, it's funny, it always is a problem. It seems like we get about 4 projects a year that just can't get off our agenda.
Yes, they just go forward is what happens.
No, it does. It's just funny how it's always about 4 projects that seem to
Yeah.
roll.
Yeah.
Okay. That's it for continuations then at that time?
That is all, and I turn the floor to you.
Thank you, Adrian. So first up would be administrative briefing. Is there anything in that box you'd like to discuss?
Nope, I have nothing to add at this time, aside from the fact that we're getting very close to clearing all of our 2020 and 2021 meeting minutes.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
Excellent. Okay, next up would be the public comment period. This is the period of the meeting when people from the public are welcome to speak towards conservation issues that are not, I repeat, not on tonight's agenda. If the public wishes to speak, you may do so now by raising your hand with the raise your hand button at the bottom of your screen, or hitting *9 on your tablet or handheld device.
I see no members of the public to comment at this time.
Okay, moving on, minutes review and approval. So we have April 21st, June 2nd, and June 16th, all of 2021. We have enough people here to vote. Is everybody okay with those minutes?
Yes, but I will be abstaining, Jackson, here from the April 21st minutes.
I believe I was not at that meeting. So this is Linda. I will abstain as well.
Okay, so why don't we do these one at a time then? Just so people can clearly state their situation.
Okay.
So why don't we,
Commissioner Jackson moves to approve the April 21st, 2021 meeting minutes for the Conservation Commission as amended.
Charpentier seconds,
And a roll call, Commissioner Charpentier,
abstain,
Commissioner Cook,
yes,
Commissioner Gradwall,
Yes,
Commissioner Sargent,
yes,
Co-Chairwoman Jackson,
Abstain.
and Co-Chairman Gullah.
yes,
Thank you.
Okay, Commissioner Jackson moves to approve the Conservation Commission meeting minutes for June 2nd, 2021 as amended.
Charpentier seconds,
And a roll call, Commissioner Charpentier,
yes,
Commissioner Cook,
yes,
Commissioner Gradwall,
Yes,
Commissioner Sargent,
Yes,
Co-Chairwoman Jackson,
yes,
and Co-Chairman Gullah.
I'm going to abstain from that one. I think I was away.
Okay, thank you.
I'm just double checking. The last up? One more, correct?
That's correct.
yes. We were just waiting for you to check.
Okay.
Okay, Commissioner Jackson moves to approve the June 16th, 2021 meeting minutes for Conservation Commission as amended.
Charpentier seconds.
And roll call Commissioner Charpentier,
Yes,
Commissioner Cook,
yes,
Commissioner Gradwall,
yes,
Commissioner Sargent,
yes,
Co-Chairwoman Jackson,
Yes,
and Co-Chairman Gullah.
I abstain. I was away that one. That's the one.
Okay, thank you. All
you.
three pass. I appreciate that. And onward with minutes.
Okay. Next up is continued business. First up is ANRAD 20-2765-171 to 281R Magnolia Avenue. And they're looking to continue to September 15th.
Commissioner Jackson moves to continue NRAD 0282765-171 to 281R Magnolia Avenue to the meeting of September 15th.
Charpentier seconds.
And roll call Commissioner Charpentier,
Yes,
Commissioner Cook,
yes,
Commissioner Gradwell,
yes,
Commissioner Sargent,
yes,
Co-Chairwoman Jackson,
Yes,
and Co-Chairman Gullah.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay. Next up, notice of intent 28-2774, 8 Island Rock Road, Brackpool, Bill Manuel at Wetlands and Land Management representing.
Good evening, folks. Bill Manuel from Wetlands and Land Management. Speaking about things that just can't seem to get off the agenda. This was one of them, but I'm happy to report that since the last meeting, I had a video conference with Kate Frew and Tay Evans at DMF. We worked through some clarifications that they were looking for on the site plan, and those have been provided. And DMF has given you a letter dated July 14th stating we have no further resource concerns with the proposed project at this time. So unless the commission has any more questions, I think that was the outstanding issue. And I'd be happy to answer any questions if you have them.
Okay. So first we'll open up the public comment. Hold on a second. Let me write something. Okay. We're going to open up for public comment. Anybody in the public who wishes to speak for or against the project at 8 Island Rock Road may do so now by hitting the raise your hand button at the bottom of your screen or hitting *9 on your tablet or handheld device or phone.
I see no members of the public to comment at this time.
Hearing none, I'll close the public comment period. Why don't we do roll call comments from the commission?
Sure. Commissioner comments. Commissioner Charpentier,
no comments.
Commissioner Cook,
no comments,
Commissioner Gradwell,
no comment,
Commissioner Sargent,
I want to thank you for the meaningful revisions that you've provided. And I suggest that all material must be non-toxic and re-environment. That's it.
Co-Chairwoman Jackson,
no comment.
and Co-Chairman Gullah.
I would agree with Mr. Sargent that I appreciate all the effort here. No comments after that.
Thank you.
So we need to close the hearing.
Okay, Commissioner Jackson moves to close the hearing for 8 Island Rock Road, NOI 0282774.
Charpentier seconds.
And roll call Commissioner Charpentier,
Yes,
Commissioner Cook,
yes,
Commissioner Gradwell,
yes,
Commissioner Sargent,
Yes,
Co-Chairwoman Jackson,
Yes,
and Co-Chairman Gullah.
Yes.
Thank you.
Commissioner Jackson moves to approve NOI 0282774 with the aforementioned conditions for 8 Island Rock Road.
Charpentier seconds.
And roll call, Commissioner Charpentier,
Yes,
Commissioner Cook,
yes,
Commissioner Gradwell,
Yes,
Commissioner Sargent,
Yes,
Co-Chairwoman Jackson,
Yes,
and Co-Chairman Gullo.
Yes.
Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Okay, next up, notice of intent 28-2776, 11 Webster Street, City of Gloucester.
Okay.
Richard Kirby at LEC Environmental representing.
Good evening, everybody. I'm Rich Kirby from LEC Environmental. I'm going to turn this over to Ben Loomis, who's the school superintendent, to give a brief introduction. And then my understanding is the chairman may want to turn this over to Jillian Davies from BSC Group, who conducted the peer review, to present her findings based on her review thus far.
Correct. That'd be great.
All right, take it away, Ben.
Ben doesn't want to take it away.
You're muted, Ben.
There you go.
There you
Good.
are.
Really do. Okay, here we go. Sorry about that, folks. Thank you for having us tonight. Really pleased to be here. Want to thank the chairs and commissioners and also Adrian Lennon for being great partners in this work with us and having us here at the hearing tonight and about this very important public school project. I appreciate I appreciate, I know the school committee and our school building committee and the community appreciate the diligence and time that this body has taken to make sure there's a thorough review of our application. Just by way of summarizing, the new East Gloucester Veterans Memorial Elementary School that'll be built on this site is an important marker for our city. It's yet another step in a years-long process the city has undertaken to rebuild and modernize our elementary schools, make sure Gloucester's children and grandchildren have a great place to learn that doesn't leak, has sufficient space indoors and outdoors, and is a modern place where our children can learn to be their best selves. Because city leaders have listened closely to community members, continuing to move this school forward in the process allows the building of 2 new ball fields, the creation of additional open space in our city. And building this fabulous new school ensure that there continues to be a school in the Webster Street and Ward 2 neighborhood and downtown for decades and decades to come, just as there have been schools in the heart of our city for centuries. In addition to impressing upon the commission and the public the importance of the city's new school, I also want to thank the commission for undertaking the typical third-party review that you do on public projects such as this. As you know, we received the report from BSC last week and earlier this week submitted our response to you. The review was thorough, clear, and has given our team good guidance on further refinement of the plan we have submitted. While the report was thorough, we are pleased that it included recommendations that at this point don't require any significant changes to our design or our submitted plan. They are important recommendations, and we aim to listen and improve from the guidance we've gotten from the commission and the reviewers, including a few things such as adding outdoor class learning environment about the restoration area, working with you to dot the i's and cross the t's on stormwater management, and also further guidance on management of erosion during construction. Those are just a few of the comments and recommendations we've got from the team. Tonight, you'll see in our response and hear from our team how we already made some necessary adjustments in our plan, and we'll continue to work with you and BSC as needed to continue that work. So we do not intend to be one of those projects that stay on your docket on and forever. But we look forward to public comment tonight and your recommendations, suggestions, and working with you so we can move forward on this very important project. Thank you.
Thank you. Who's up next? The third-party reviewer? Or?
I think that's the plan.
Okay, yeah.
Hi.
And, for the edification of the public, just so that everyone understands how we are going to try to step through this hearing. First, we will turn the floor over to Jillian Davies with BSC Group and Dominic Rinaldi, who is the engineer with BSC Group. The two have worked together to conduct the third-party review. They are going to present their findings. And then we'll have an opportunity for public comment, commissioner comments, and then at that time, we'll turn the floor back over to Rich Kirby with LEC, who's representing the applicant, to give us some reply.
Okay. Away we go.
Hi, I'm Jillian Davies with BSC Group, and I'm the wetland scientist who went out and reviewed the wetland boundary and looked at the site from the perspective of wetland science. And the wetland line looked right. There is an area of hydric soils and wetland vegetation in the mowed grass area in the field, but depending on when that area was converted to mowed grass, which in all likelihood predates the wetlands regulations, it may be grandfathered in as that. So one of my comments was just to check on that, to see if it can be identified as to when that area was converted to mowed grass. But in either case, if it was, and I mentioned this when I was in the field, and since that area is not slated to be building, and probably it wasn't, it's not shown on the plan, so I can't say exactly how far out it went, but it didn't go out terribly far into the field. And there had been a plan to do some seeding and planting, and it was going to be buffer zone planting. And so I recommended that be converted to wetland planting instead, and that it could be an opportunity for an educational area. It's kind of an outdoor science classroom with some signage about wetlands and their significance and the restoration work that's going on there, and really, become a feature, become something exciting that results from the project, as well as restoring the wetland. And sort of I made that recommendation regardless of the regulation status, because it seemed like something that people could do voluntarily if they so choose, if it's not a regulatory issue. And then I did receive LEC's response to my comments, but just today, and I was already booked for today, so I haven't had a chance to go through them in detail. So I'm happy to do that. I will go through them in detail and provide a written response once I have a little more time for that. And does anybody have any questions? And then Dominic Rinaldi, our engineer, will be able to talk about the stormwater aspects.
Commissioners, any questions at this time?
I have none.
Okay. Why don't we move on then? We can move to who is going to speak. There we go.
Hi.
You're up.
Yep. Good evening. Dominic Rinaldi is senior civil engineer with BSC Group. Thank you for bringing up the letter. So we issued a letter. We went through the plans and stormwater report to review the stormwater management design. I'll kind of go through that. Really, we didn't find anything. There are no significant issues. It's a pretty well designed site. Pretty thorough report, a few minor items and a few sort of I-dotting, T-crossing items. 13 comments overall. I would point to, a couple of theirs, comments 2 and 3. As part of the project, they plan to use the area of the infiltration basin and a couple of the underground detention systems for sediment basins during construction. which is fine. We'd just like to see some more detail on how to restore those areas prior to putting them into service as long-term stormwater BMPs. As you know, construction runoff tends to be much more sediment heavy. Those areas get loaded up with silts and sands. So generally what we'd be looking for is something with a little bit of over excavation under the base and some scarification of the ground underneath, and restoring it with a decent soil or a stone at the bottom. And that way, what gets put into implementation for the final site is ultimately what the designer intended. A few minor tweaks and changes in there. Probably the biggest thing I would say is comment 9, in that while they have done a fair number of borings around the site, the stormwater handbook does require soil testing in the actual location of infiltration BMPs. That is something that DEP has absolutely followed up on in the past. We've seen them, put that in their own comments, and even it's been a while, but I have actually seen them appeal projects where that wasn't done. So we would recommend it's a simple test pit or two in the location of the infiltration BMPs. So that way we can ensure that the soil types are there, the groundwater is where we expect it to be, and that the design doesn't have to change at all. As I said, other than that, the other 10 comments are pretty minor, sort of cleanup, minor improvements to the design. But overall, I think it's a solid stormwater design and a solid report.
Okay, great. Good to hear. Okay, then at this point, I don't know if we circle back to Rich and anything to add to that before I open it up to public.
I think we'll take all comments at once and then turn it over so that we don't have a kind of a
Back and forth.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're gonna open up for public comment. I'm sure there's a fair amount of people on the call, but I would like to just please try and keep it to wetland related items and conservation related issues if we can. That would be great. Don't have to, but we'd appreciate it. So I'm going to open up for public comment at this time. Anyone's welcome to speak towards the project. If you are on Zoom, you can hit the raise your hand button at the bottom of your screen, or you can hit *9 on your phone or tablet.
Okay, so we will begin with Olympia 57 at Comcast. I'm going to allow you to talk and ask you to unmute. Go ahead.
Yes, can you hear me now?
Yeah.
can.
Okay. I have a question about the length of the building going across all of Webster Street. They are supposed to be 4 to 5 feet of fill. And I was under the impression that there are going to be some big pipes that go all the way down across the length of that that'll carry, I'm guessing, rainwater. I'm not sure what kind of water, or the pond water across the end of that project. And 2 questions are, they're intending to put the fill in and build. They want to get this thing done as fast as possible. I was under the impression when you put fill in, it should sit there for a while before you do anything. And this building looks like a pretty big building and pretty heavy duty building to be sitting on these pipes. Was there anything that you found about that in your going through the engineering prospect of putting this in? That, and I still have concerns about what they consider their retention ponds, because I was told by someone in a retention pond company that you really shouldn't have retention ponds on school properties. We already have one in West Gloucester, and the cover's been off at one time. So there's the 2 big issues that I have. Can you respond to that?
We're going to go through everybody. We're going to take note of it and respond at the end, please.
Okay.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Anyone else?
Patty Amaral, I'm going to allow you to talk and ask you to unmute. Go ahead.
Hello. My name is Patty. Amaral. Hello, Patty Amaral, 14 Myrtle Square. Okay. I have volunteered at 11 Webster Street for over 23 years. First, I was work at the schools, PTO, and then I went over to rehab the whole field. I'm concerned about the natural basin that's there, and it still has a steady stream of the water flowing from the upland. Mrs. Davies said that she didn't get a chance to read the report, and that really concerns me, as I feel like she's very important to read this material. So I feel like this should be continued, but anyway. And I'm concerned about the bordering vegetated wetland and how we protect it. I'm concerned with the creatures that call Mados Field home and what this construction will do to them in their homes. I am concerned with all the hot top that will come and cover every blade of grass, putting the homes below in dangers of flooding in our salt marshes at risk. The same salt marshes that clean the water that goes to our beaches that we live with. We need that money. That's our general fund money. We need to keep our beaches pristine and healthy. And I'm concerned the designer called this area a bathtub and a tortured site, as it is one. And I just can't see how anyone can't see that. It's taking every single blade of grass. So I'm also wondering how many correspondents wrote in. Did anybody write any letters in or anything like that? You know, I'm just really concerned, and I do consider myself an environmentalist, and I just don't see how anyone who even has a title next to your name or anything like that can let this go through. Please think about this. This is very important. And it's going to affect a lot of people in this city, the people who are downland, the salt marshes. Please think hard before you vote. And I would like to see Ms. Jillian Davies' information. I think it's very important. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Anyone else, Adrian?
I see no other hands at this time.
Okay. All righty then. So I guess if there's no one else at this time, seeing none, hearing none, to close the public comment period, what I would do next is probably cycle back to one of the consultants, if anyone wants to answer the questions about the pipes being under the building, or the fill on the edge of the road and some of that loveliness. If someone could comment on that and Ms. Davies' report or the information she has yet to attain.
I'd be happy to go through some of the wetland concerns and buffer zone related concerns that Jillian had brought up and that that Ms. Armel brought up. Adrian, if you wouldn't mind putting up our response to comments, that would be helpful. And specifically scrolling down to Appendix D. While Adrian's pulling that up, one of Jillian's comments was the observation of some wetland plants and wetland soils within the athletic field, the ball field adjacent to the wetland. Of course, as the commission must be aware by now, the wetland is a long linear wetland along the edge of the field behind the chain link fence, the very tall chain link fence, and measures about 600 square feet. It's not very big. And basically it takes surface runoff and groundwater seepage that comes off the hillside to the west, from the west, and directs it northerly toward an existing concrete catch basin. We're going to be replacing that catch basin as part of our project, but we're going to keep the elevation the same so that way the hydrology of that wetland remains unchanged. It's also worth noting that at least when we did our original evaluation, it seems that the groundskeepers were maintaining the vegetation within the wetland behind the chain link fence, I think to try and keep the vines and overgrowth off of it. That's what it looked like when we did our original site evaluation last year. And now, however, it appears as though they've ceased maintaining that vegetation, and it's come back rather nicely with some jewelweed and other wetland plants. So, but anyway, getting down back to the status of the field and whether or not that's jurisdictional. This is a 1954 plan that shows development of the site, and it's really hard to see at that scale, but basically the ball field is to the left, but the backstop is just to the sort of northeast of the bleachers. You can see the chain link fence backstop, so home plate was right to the north. They're the bleachers. And then just to the north of that, there you go, the chain link fence that looks like a trapezoid. To the right, there you go, right there. So home plate was right in front of there. And you can see behind home plate, there's some natural sloping that occurs that probably was the initial effort at developing this site. If you scroll to the 1957 plan, that's when improvements were made, or certainly proposed. The backstop was moved to its current location. The bleachers are shown there, and you can see the relatively steep slope that parallels the third baseline. And that represents more or less the conditions today. So we believe that the field as it occurs now is basically how it occurred in, circa 1957. Adrian, if you could go to attachment C that shows the revised landscape plan. Despite the, I don't think it changes the wetland delineation based on these old plans, but we are proposing buffer zone restoration, and we've fine-tuned that restoration to better represent the hydrology and the conditions in the field today. You can see there to the right of the wetlands, we have a zone of planting, that shaded area there. And if you look within that zone, there is a line that goes north and south. It basically cuts it in half. And there you go, that section there. That section immediately adjacent to the chain link fence is the wetter portion of the buffer zone restoration. And we've tailored the planting plan to, and the seed mix to propose shrubs and seeds that are used to wetter conditions. And that was based on field measurements. I went out there this past Sunday to take some measurements to determine the extent of that wetter portion of the buffer zone restoration. And then the balance of it is the other 600 square feet. The wetter portion measures 500 square feet. So we have a total of 1,100 square feet of buffer zone restoration here. The balance of it has more facultative plants that grow in both wetlands and uplands. Now, this area has a fence along the right side. It's a 4-foot high fence that parallels the entire or most of the paved roadway there, the access road. There'll be a gate in that fence right there, right near where the cursor is, to allow access for students to enter the restoration area. We've chosen plants that are interesting to look at. They have interesting smells, interesting flowers. And we've chosen some seed mixtures with a variety of wildflowers and perennials to really provide an educational focal point for students to get in there and learn about wetlands and the restoration effort that we proposed. We may propose some signage along the gates. That's yet to be determined, but certainly restoring and improving the function and value of that buffer zone to protect the adjacent wetland results with this restoration effort. Some other comments I'll just go through briefly. I noted that Jillian Davies did review the notice of intent application and provided her comment letter based on that. Since then, we have provided a response to Jillian's comments, and that is the document that she has yet to review, but we of course understand and fully expect her to review that for compliance with the state and local wetlands laws. Some other comments I'll just go through briefly that we provided. We provided responses to the chain link fence that I was talking about, the existing one, that will be removed by hand and disposed of appropriately. And of course will be replaced by the gate that parallels the access road. That'll all be within the buffer zone. Sorry, there we go. I have a couple of screens up here.
Well, to get back to public comment concerns,
Yep.
what about the pipe under the building and the comment about retention ponds not being, or detention ponds but not being, should not be utilized on school property? Have you
Sure,
ever heard of these
That's
issues?
more of an engineering comment, and I would turn that over to Paige from Niche, who can answer those questions. I don't know if you want to transition over.
If you're complete, I mean, I think you covered everything, but if you feel
Yeah,
you need
Yes, I covered Jillian's comment that she just
Yep.
made now, and the abutters comment. So I'm happy to shift gears over to Niche if it pleases the commission.
yes, please.
Hi, everyone. I'm Paige Simmons. I'm with Niche Engineering. Can everyone hear me?
Yep.
So to address the comment about the pipes under the building, the pipes that are under the building are in the existing condition. And those pipes are being removed in the proposed condition and will be rerouted to address the drainage needs of the proposed site. So there will be no pipes under the building in the proposed final condition.
Okay.
And then as for the infiltration basin is only designed to fill up approximately 6 inches in the smaller storms, and the basin will drain within 52 hours, and it's required to drain within 72 hours per the Mass DEP requirements. So we're actually draining faster than required. And the basin will also be vegetated. So there won't be standing water just sitting in the basin as a pond. It's going to fill up briefly in the event of a storm, and it will drain out within the required time limits. So there shouldn't be a concern of standing water.
Excellent. Thank you.
I can also address some of Dominic's comments if we would like to.
Sure.
Okay, so the first two he mentioned were the detention basin and the infiltration basin that are being used as temporary sediment basins in the construction phase. So the detention basin 1 and detention basin 2 are lined to prevent infiltration because of their proximity to groundwater. So those are only specifically used to reduce peak rate attenuation, and they're not used for infiltration. So the sediments in the soils and those two specific locations will not be a concern. But at the infiltration basin, we are proposing infiltration. So we added a note to the plans to suggest removal of any sediments, and also to scarify the ground surface to make sure that it's infiltrating as we intend it to. So I think that should address that comment. And then lastly, he mentioned the test pit at the infiltration basin. And the reason we have not done a test pit in that location currently is because it's at the location of the existing school building, which is still standing on site. So as a condition, we can add that once the school building has been demolished, a test pit can be provided in that area to confirm that our assumptions make sense and that our drainage design is consistent with what we're proposing.
Excellent. Thank you very much. Okay, lastly, why don't we, unless there's something else that the consultants want to put forth, I think we should go to a roll call comments from the commissioners.
Commissioner comments, Commissioner Charpentier.
Yeah, could you point out where these infiltration basins are? The detention, it's hard to read on this map. Or my eyes are getting old.
It's actually not on this specific plan. Do you have the utility plan? Maybe one more. Yep, this one here. So the two that have the boxes are the subsurface chamber systems. So one at the top of the site and one at the bottom right side of the site. And those are both subsurface systems that are lined and will not be infiltrating, but will slow down stormwater runoff. And then in the center of the site, in the parking lot, there is the surface infiltration basin that will collect water and then infiltrate it into the ground.
The crescent shaped.
Yes, correct.
Okay. And you said there's not going to be any standing water there, right?
Nope. In the 100-year storm, it draws down within 52 hours.
Okay.
Are you good?
Yeah, the other question I had is, one of the folks who talked earlier talked about the incredible amount of paving that was going to go on. You know, what is the change in the impervious relative to what's there now? I'm sure it's pretty large.
I believe it's 1.9 acres.
And the versus the current is what?
1.9 acres.
Current impervious is 1.9 and the proposed is?
That's the increase. The net increase is 1.9 acres. The change.
Okay, from what though? I think that's. what-
Oh, okay. I'll have to find that specific number.
To add a little color to Paige's comment there while she's looking up the existing versus proposed. The work that's in the buffer zone is, of course, focused within the existing previously developed portions. We have a pretty good large section of wooded buffer zone to the west of the wetland and to the north, and that will be remain untouched. So the work that we're proposing is largely, within the previously developed portions of the buffer zone. And I do have some of those numbers to provide a bit of context. A portion of the proposed structure, the roof area, measures roughly 4,565 square feet, so about 12% of the buffer zone. We have about 22.5% of the buffer zone, 8,062 that'll be pavement associated with the roadway. And then the playground represents roughly 4,390 square feet of the buffer zone, but of course that will be a permeable rubber surface. So just to give a little bit of a sense of what will occur within the buffer zone.
I think it's also important to a couple of things is, in a project like this, any school project, trying to balance a lot of different pieces. And two important pieces to balance here are enough parking for staff and families, enough circulation to take traffic off of the neighborhood streets during your short times of arrival and dismissal. And then the other important piece, of course, is the additional, this is an Article 97 land swap, as I think you're all aware, and we are adding green space, open space at the East Gloucester site when the city takes down that school. So, there are many pieces to this. I just want to sort of expand just the notion of just this, in terms of open space. It's not, the project isn't just this site, but also the current East Gloucester site as well, which will increase the amount of open space there.
I would also add that, this project as a whole has a very limited buffer zone that we have jurisdiction over. So we're pretty limited on where we can talk and what we can talk about.
Right. Okay. I have no other questions.
Okay. Commissioner Cook.
They're not really questions. I have a couple concerns in reviewing the responses to BCS, which, by the way, really thank you. That summary was very concise. It was easy to read. It looks like they've agreed to pretty much everything. There's two notes. One is in 9 where it talks about after the building is demolished, putting in the test pit. And the requirement is, it says that as a condition, the test pit can be provided. There's going to be a lot of work here. So, trying to remember everything that we're going to be conditioning could be a little bit hard. But I wanted to point that out, that in the response, it says that as a condition, the test pit can be in there. I don't know if we can add it more formally into the NOI, all the work steps to show it there rather than it being dependent on us to create it as a condition. The same thing applies in 13 with the recording the long-term pollution and prevention. I'd rather have the NOI say that, it will be done versus us trying to remember to make it a condition when this is finally, settled. But those were the only other two things, the only two questions that I had.
All right, who's
With,
next?
with regard to the long-term pollution prevention plan, I believe that Niche had submitted that as part of their response to BSC comments this week. So that's been completed and can be included as part of the record.
Excellent.
That's correct. We did include it.
Okay, Commissioner Gradwell.
No comment at this time.
Thank you. Commissioner Sargent.
Yes, regarding the test pit data, I strongly believe, that needs to be done. My understanding is groundwater was determined through monitoring wells, and monitoring wells are just a snapshot in time of what exists at that period. Estimated seasonally high groundwater takes place over a number of years with reduxomorphic features accumulating in the soils. And that gives you a better snapshot of how well, infiltration basins will perform. If a little concerned about doing test pits, where the building is, that may be a greatly disturbed area. I'm wondering if it would be beneficial to do a test pit at the toe of the slope where human transported material or fill has obviously been placed to elevate the building, where the hot top goes around the building. That might give an accurate determination of where seasonally high groundwater is, either or, but just so that out as an alternative. And I'm very pleased that the applicant is proposing significantly greater wetland restoration as a result of the peer review. Thank you very much.
Okay, Co-Chairwoman Jackson
No comments at this time.
and Co-Chairman Gullah.
No comments. I think we covered it all, or my fellow commissioners got most of it, so I think we're good. So with that, then we got to, I would assume we're continuing to clean up some loose ends, but in my opinion, things look pretty good here at this point. Commissioners had a few comments, public had a few comments. There's a few gaps, I guess, in the getting Ms. Davies to take a look at the documents and review those in a little more detail. So I would assume a continuation to the next meeting is in order, correct?
Yes, we'd like to continue to the August 4th meeting.
Okay.
Okay, Commissioner Jackson moves to continue 11 Webster Street, NOI 0282776 to the meeting of August 4th.
Carpentier seconds.
And a roll call, Commissioner Charpentier,
Yes.
Commissioner Cook,
Yes.
Commissioner Gradwell,
Yes.
Commissioner Sargent,
Yes.
Co-Chairwoman Jackson,
Yes.
and Co-Chairman Gullah.
Yes.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, everybody. We'll see you in a couple weeks.
Thank you, folks. Really appreciate your effort and work on this.
Thank
Thank
you.
All for being here tonight.
Okay, next up. No DEP number 24 Fernwood Lake Ave, Mingzu Yang applicant.
So I did actually track down this applicant. It happens that they were selling the property, which is how they came to the place that they needed to repair the deck, and have since actually closed. And so one of the agents in the transaction and I spoke, and they were authorized to make the request to withdraw without prejudice. No work was completed.
Oh, okay. So I guess we move to withdraw, to accept the withdrawal.
Just writing things down. Okay, Commissioner Jackson moves to withdraw without prejudice, NOI, no DEP number assigned, but for the project at 24 Fernwood Lake Avenue.
Carpentier seconds.
Roll call, Commissioner Charpentier,
Yes.
Commissioner Cook,
Yes.
Commissioner Gradwell,
Yes.
Commissioner Sargent,
Yes.
Co-Chairwoman Jackson,
Yes.
and Co-Chairman Gullah.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, next up, notice of intent, no DEP number. Oh, I'm sorry. We got a bunch of continuations here. So first up is notice of intent 28-2785, 167 Atlantic Street, lots 1, Thor Eagerly and Williams representing, requests a continuation to August 4th.
Okay, Commissioner Jackson moves to continue and continue the project at 167 Atlantic Street, Lot 1, NOI 0282785 to the meeting of August 4th.
Charpentier seconds.
And a roll call, Commissioner Charpentier,
Yes.
Commissioner Cook,
Yes.
Commissioner Gradwall,
Yes.
Commissioner Sargent,
Yes.
Co-Chairwoman Jackson,
Yes.
and Co-Chairman Gullah.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next one, notice of intent, no DEP number, 167 Atlantic Street, Lot 2, Jarama, Thor Eagerly of Williams Barrage is representing. They're requesting a continuation to August 4th as well.
Commissioner Jackson moves to continue NOI, no DEP number 167 Atlantic Street, Lot 2 to the meeting of August 4th.
Charpentier seconds.
And a roll call, Commissioner Charpentier,
Yes.
Commissioner Cook,
Yes.
Commissioner Gradwall,
Yes.
Commissioner Sargent,
Yes.
Co-Chairwoman Jackson,
Yes.
and Co-Chairman Gullah.
Yes.
Thank you.
Next up, notice of intent 28-2784, 167 Atlantic Street, Lot 3, Jarama, Thor Eagerly of Williams Barrage is representing, requests a continuation to August 4th, 2021.
Commissioner Jackson moves to continue 167 Atlantic Street, Lot 3, NOI 0282784 to the meeting of August 4th.
Charpentier seconds.
And a roll call, Commissioner Charpentier,
Yes.
Commissioner Cook,
Yes.
Commissioner Gradwall,
Yes.
Commissioner Sargent,
Yes.
Co-Chairwoman Jackson,
Yes.
and Co-Chairman Gullah.
Yes.
Thank you.
Next up is, this is also, this is a continuation as well, correct?
Nope, we are opening this one.
Oh,
And
okay.
that's Star Washington Street.
Okay. So notice, next up would be notice of intent 28-2787966R, Washington Street, O'Grady, John Judd at Gateway Consultants representing.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the commission. For the record, John Judd, Gateway Consultants. You may recall we presented this project on June 16th. This is a proposal for a seasonal float and ramp along with a pier that would be situated above the intertidal zone. Thank you, Adrian, for putting up the plan. Also proposed are an addition and a pool that was previously existing on this property, and it was re-permitted to be installed on the last notice of intent when this property was reconstructed about 4 years ago. That was permitted. So we're back to have these activities proposed. And at our meeting on June 16th, there were 4 comments, I think primarily from Mr. Sargent that I had written down. One of which was the mitigation planting area, which I don't believe you have the latest plan, but it should be in your file. We show mitigation planting along the coastal bank that offsets the 1,000 square feet increase in impervious area proposed within the buffer zone. Also, the butter, Mr. Arnold, has submitted an email, which I believe is in the file that should have been circulated to the members. And that was dated June 29th. And he states, as in a butter immediately southwest of the property, I have no objection to the pier and seasonal float on the plan created by Gateway Consultants for Tom Grady. So that has been endorsed by the neighbor. The last 2 comments was Mr. Sargent recommended that we remove the concrete moorings and replace it with helical, system for, as opposed to the chain and anchors, which we've added on the revised plan. And again, that revised plan was June 28th. Finally, we do have a letter dated the 14th of July from DMF endorsing the project. We did have a Neil Grass diver go in to the property, and that was established on the revised plan of June 28th. So the letter dated July 14th from DMF essentially endorses the project, indicating that there would be no impacts to the eelgrass. So that is a description of where we are, and I think we've addressed all the comments and can answer any questions that you might have.
Okay, thank you. Next up, we'll do public comment period. Anyone who wishes to speak for or against the project at 966R may do so now by hitting the raise your hand button at the bottom of your screen or hitting *9 on your handheld device or phone.
No members of the public at this time.
Seeing none, hearing none, I'll close the public comment period. I guess we just probably roll into roll call comments.
Sure. Commissioner comments. Commissioner Charpentier.
No comments.
Commissioner Cook.
No comment.
Commissioner Gradwell.
No comment, everything's fine.
Commissioner Sargent.
Yes, thank you, John, for the meaningful revisions. The proposed mitigation for the increased impervious area for the proposed new addition, shed, and retaining wall is roughly 1:1. I'd really like to see a ratio closer to 2:1, as well as monitoring for at least 2 years. And obviously, all material for the ramp of the float must be non-toxic to the marine environment.
Okay. Co-Chairwoman Jackson
No comments.
and Co-Chairman Gullah.
No comments.
Okay, thank you.
So at this point, what I would probably do, John, are you willing to accept the the comments by Commissioner Sargent to get it closer to 2:1 and the other couple items he mentioned to move this forward?
No problem. Obviously, no issue with the non-toxic materials that was not intended to be installed anyway, and we can certainly increase the plantings along the coastal bank to meet the 2:1. That shouldn't be a problem on this size property.
Okay, so the final question would be, commissioners, is do we want to wait for the planting plan, or are we ready to approve this and move it forward now? It's always a little ticklish. We like to see it before if we can, but I'm open to comments.
I'm good with Adrian looking at it, but we'll see how other commissioners feel.
Okay,
This is Linda. I agree with Ann Joe.
okay. Barry, any thoughts?
No, that's fine by me.
Okay,
She can review it just as well as the 6 of us can.
okay. Bill?
Nope, no problem with it moving forward.
Okay. All right, I guess we move it forward.
Dave, are you good with that? Dave?
Yes, I am.
Okay, good. We're gonna leave you out.
I'm used to being left out, so.
No. All right, we're gonna move to approve.
Okay. Commissioner
Close.
Jackson moves to close the public hearing for 966R Washington Street, NOI 0282787.
Charpentier seconds.
And a roll call, Commissioner Charpentier,
Yes.
Commissioner Cook,
Yes.
Commissioner Gradwell,
Yes,
Commissioner Sargent,
Yes,
Co-Chairwoman Jackson,
Yes.
and Co-Chairman Gullah.
Yes.
Thank you.
Commissioner Jackson moves to approve the project NOI 0282787 at 966R Washington Street with the aforementioned conditions.
Charpentier seconds.
And a roll call, Commissioner Charpentier,
Yes.
Commissioner Cook,
Yes.
Commissioner Gradwell,
yes,
Commissioner Sargent,
yes.
Co-Chairwoman Jackson,
Yes.
and Co-Chairman Gullah.
Yes, with discussion, do we have all the points that Mr. Sargent mentioned? So it was mortality, it was planting plan up to 2:1, but I thought there were a couple more things in there, Dave.
That was just non-toxic to the marine environment.
Okay, then yes.
Okay, thank you.
Next up, notice of intent 28-2788, 97 Coles Island Road, Barry, John Jetta Gateway Consultants representing.
Once again, thank you, John Judd, representing Julia Barry and Chris Crotty for this proposal for the seasonal ramp and pier and float that is their property or properties, several properties out at 97 Coles Island Road. We did have that meeting on the 16th prior to Adrian going on vacation, and we really hope to get a site visit with the commissioners out there. And I know we tried to tag it on with the Atlantic Street or sidewalk, and it just didn't work out for the Julia and Chris. So we were simply asking to maybe schedule a site visit for the board members to go out and take a look at this beautiful property and what they plan on doing out here. And take a look for yourselves to get an idea what the property looks like in the location. There were some comments from Dave. I just assume address those after we had the site meeting, if we could, and maybe just take care of everything at once.
Okay. Hold on a second, I'm having a little difficulty. I just got pushed out. What happened? That's weird. Oh, I think I know what it is. Hold on, come on back.
So I'll carry it for you.
Yeah,
for now.
please, yeah, I just got
Chairman Gola,
kicked out somehow.
just as Mr. Judd had mentioned, we had Commissioner Cook and Commissioner Sargent out in that neighborhood about a week ago. And we were going to try and tack this on. It didn't quite work out. So my next step would be to request 3 commissioner volunteers who would like to go out and walk the site and see the site sometime next week early, probably Monday or Tuesday.
I'm not going to be here.
Yeah, I'm available either day, as long as it's after 11.
Okay. This is not going to be a short site walk. It's going to take a little while to get down there, and we'll be down there for a little while, I think, just so everybody's aware about the time commitment. I do think it will. What do you think? Probably 90 minutes.
If I could, Adrian, I don't think it'll be that long. I mean, it's a fairly straightforward seasonal ramp and float, and we can drive right out to the end. So,
okay.
Unless there's going to be some discussion that I'm not anticipating, I think it's more to view what the intent of the applicants out here to access the water on over 70 acres of land.
Okay. All right.
All right, well, I'm available as well. I could do the morning of Monday or Tuesday.
Okay.
I don't know if anyone else wants.
Bill, are you not? You're after 11?
After 11, Monday, I can do it earlier if you want.
Okay, maybe it will be a Monday.
I can do up to 1, 2 on Monday. So, or Tuesday. I'm pretty open this week.
Okay, so I'm going to pencil in this site for 10 a.m. on Monday, July 26th.
Okay.
With Commissioner Gola and Commissioner Cook. And if another commissioner is interested or able to attend, let me know. And Mr. Judd, if you want to come back and just confirm that your property owners and you are able to attend, I will follow up with an invitation.
Terrific. We really appreciate it. At this point, I don't see that being an issue with this advance notice. So 10 o'clock Monday, the 26th.
Correct.
And I'll meet you right out there at Coles Island Road, right on the pavement, and then I can take you in.
Okay.
To the property.
Excellent. Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Okay. So with that, then We'll move to continue.
Certainly. Commissioner Jackson moves to continue NOI 0282788 at 97 Coles Island Road to the meeting of August 4th.
Charpentier seconds.
And roll call, Commissioner Charpentier,
Yes.
Commissioner Cook,
Yes.
Commissioner Gradwall,
Yes.
Commissioner Sargent,
Yes.
Co-Chairwoman Jackson,
Yes.
and Co-Chairman Gullah.
Yes.
Thank you.
Next
you.
up, thank you. Next up is RDA 1703 Salt Island LLC. Martignetti applicant. I believe the applicant requested a continuation to what date?
Chairman Gullah, you skipped Essex Ave.
I skipped who?
Essex Ave.
Oh, I'm sorry. Let's back that up. Next up is notice of intent 28. I thought we're on that. Notice of intent 28-2786, 65 to 73 Essex Avenue. 65 to 73 Essex Avenue LLC, Megan Kearns of Epsilon Associates representing.
And they request to continue to August 4th.
Okay, so Commissioner Jackson moves to continue NOI 0282786, 65 to 73 Essex Avenue to the meeting of August 4th.
Charpentier seconds.
And roll call, Commissioner Charpentier,
Yes.
Commissioner Cook,
Yes.
Commissioner Gradwall,
Yes.
Commissioner Sargent,
Yes.
Co-Chairwoman Jackson,
Yes.
Co-Chairman Gullah.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next up would be RDA 1703 Salt Island Road, Salt Island LLC, Martignetti representing or applicant. This is also requesting a continuation to August 5th.
To August 18th, I believe. Okay. All right, Commissioner Jackson moves to continue the project on Salt Island RDA 1703 to the meeting of August 18th.
Charpentier seconds.
And roll call, Charpentier,
Yes.
Commissioner Cook,
Yes.
Commissioner Gradwall,
Yes.
Commissioner Sargent,
Yes.
Co-Chairwoman Jackson,
Yes.
and Co-Chairman Gullah.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Wow. Now on to new business. Notice of intent 28-2789, 12 Bray Street, Sumner, Charles Sumner applicant. Is he here?
He is here. I see your hand up, sir. You can turn on your video.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Great, thank you. Charles Sumner and Caitlin Sumner, 12 Bray Street.
Maybe we can do the video there.
And we are DEP number 2789. Let's see if I can start my video. We're trying to get, somehow we thought we were pushed
Here you
up
are.
a little bit. Here we
Oh.
are.
There you go.
Good, thank you, folks, for being here tonight, to the commissioners and the co-chairs and Agent Lennon. We are proposing for a small addition off the back of our home at 12 Bray Street, which would pretty much fall upon an existing deck that I actually removed back in late May, before I realized we were in the buffer zone. So we are proposing, it's a small shed style addition, which would be about 34 feet long by 12 feet out. It'll have a knee-high foundation that will run off the back of the house. And again, it's on the existing, pretty much on the existing porch that has been removed. I think you all have pictures of that. So we are also proposing in this to include some rain barrels to capture some of the rain off of the roof that will be added, as well as to include some plantings, which I've put here. Some inkberry, some American holly, some high bush blueberry, some sweet viburnum. We also have some existing planting off the back already, some rosa rugosa and some lilac, as well as some holly that's already out there. So this is a new process to us, so we're looking for guidance and making sure that we're following proper procedures here. And we would like to get started on this. We had originally planned to get started on this back in the late spring, but obviously pushed off a little bit here with this process. So
Well, it's a good start. You're doing well. So good for you. Let's see. So the only thing that I caught, I'll open up for public comment first. I'm sorry, I'm looking at two screens and getting confused myself. Why don't we go to public comments? So anyone in the public who wishes to speak for or against the project at 12 Bray Street may do so now. You may do so by hitting the raise your hand button at the bottom of your screen or hitting *9 on your phone or handheld device.
I see no members of the public to comment at this time.
Excellent. So with that, seeing none, hearing none, I'll close the public comment period. The only thing I didn't see here, and we'll do roll call comments, was just the distance from the resource. Could you give me an idea of how far you're from that intermittent stream?
Yeah, I think, this year has been a little bit different with all the rain, but usually that intermittent stream is dried up around, by June, it's usually stopped, but we're about 100 feet from that stream.
Okay, I'm just curious. Okay, that's good. So Adrian, if you want to go into roll call comments?
Sure. Commissioner comments. Commissioner Charpentier.
No comments.
Commissioner Cook.
Just a question. I didn't see the pictures, but the old deck was just a open deck, no roof,
Correct.
and the new deck is going to be covered?
It'll be an addition to the home, so it'll give us some space inside for a dining area and a living area. So it will be a 4-season addition. No plumbing of any kind. It will have to add some heating into that, obviously, but it's just basically encapsulating and closing in what was once an existing pressure-treated deck.
Yeah, what we're getting at is whenever you're adding more impervious, you're impinging nature's ability to filter and allow water to move through. So usually we require a certain amount of mitigation to offset what you've done here. You've provided a planting plan. It's really up to the commission to determine whether that planting plan is enough to offset what you've done here. But we'll go through that a little bit.
Okay.
Okay, that was Commissioner Cook, I believe. Now Commissioner Gradwell.
No comment. And I'm sure that if they have to add a few more plants, they'd be happy to do that so that they could proceed.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Commissioner Sargent.
Yeah, I'd also like to know how much impervious surface they're adding and how much the area of mitigation that they're planting. And I'd like a 2-year mortality on that. And I also noticed that they were very smart and they opted to choose mitigation plantings that are deer resistant.
Yeah.
You've learned that lesson.
Yeah. Well, I don't know if I can speak to those numbers. Maybe I can get some guidance from Agent Lennon on that, but we're happy to provide whatever mitigation. I mean, we in our plan, we've provided for a silt fence before we start and some hay bales to help offset any disturbance of sediment or soils. We don't plan to do, there's not a lot in terms of, I've spoken to our contractor and to our the guy who's going to do our foundation, and there's not a lot there in terms of digging. It's already, there's going to be no basement. It'll be a knee-high foundation, but I know it is a rather, it's a 34-foot long by 12-foot foundation.
Okay, so that gives you 432 feet of new impervious surface. So you need 800 square feet of plantings.
Okay. That sounds doable to us. If I could take you around on my computer right now, you'd see that we're.
No, we're good. I think this is pretty straightforward. We can keep moving.
Okay.
So keep going with commissioner comments. Adrian, please.
Sure. Chairwoman Jackson.
No comments.
And Co-Chairman Gullah.
I guess we're done. Similar comments to what everyone else had. I think the only thing really here is, again, we're getting back to, it just needs, you have to bolster your planting to offset a little bit here, it looks like. But other than that, I think it really comes back to the commission again. Do you want to see a planting plan? and wait for that for next meeting? Or are we okay with them understanding or providing a simple plan to Adrian again? I feel like we're dumping a lot on Adrian and not kind of doing our job, but that's.
He's been on vacation.
I have no problem letting Adrian handle it.
Okay. All right. And then we had a couple of, I'm not sure if the applicant caught those comments from Commissioner Sargent. Basically, we like 2-year mortality rate. So if anything dies within 2 years, you'll replace it.
Okay.
And we would like to see you get to that 2 to 1. So if you can create a planting plan, just create a box similar to the box of the addition and put some plants in it or some arrangement of such. Other than that, unless commissioners want to continue it, I don't see a reason why we can't move this.
I agree. I would like to just make it clear that this is 800 square feet of additional plantings. It does not include current plantings on the property.
Correct.
But yes, Commissioner Jackson moves to close the public hearing for NOI 0282789 at 12 Gray Street.
Carpenter seconds?
And a roll call, Commissioner Charpentier,
Yes.
Commissioner Cook,
Yes.
Commissioner Gradwall,
Yes,
Commissioner Sargent,
Yes.
Co-Chairwoman Jackson,
Yes.
and Co-Chair Mangala.
Yes.
Commissioner Jackson moves to approve NOI 0282789 at 12 Gray Street with the aforementioned conditions.
Carpenter seconds?
And a roll call, Commissioner Charpentier,
Yes.
Commissioner Cook,
Yes.
Commissioner Gradwall,
yes,
Commissioner Sargent,
Yes.
Co-Chairwoman Jackson,
Yes.
and Co-Chair Mangala.
Yes, with comment again, just you have to bolster the planting plan to get yourself to 2 to 1 and mortality, 2-year mortality rate on this. And wasn't there one more, Mr. Sargent? I was good.
You did put a dimension in that shows the basic the distance from the stream to the house.
That was, okay. Yeah, that was it.
What was that last one, sir?
We'd like you to draw on the drawing the distance from the corner of the addition to the stream. So we have an accurate representation.
Oh,
of how
okay.
close you are.
Yep, very good. I can do that.
Excellent. So I vote yes, and you're all set. Well, it's an art. Yeah, you're all set.
Okay,
So you need to provide those things to the agent.
we'll do that Monday morning. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Have a great night.
Thank you.
Next up, notice of intent 28-2790, 502R Washington Street, Olson, William Manuel, Wetlands and Land Management representing.
Good evening again, Bill Manuel from Wetlands and Land Management. I believe Susan Olson, the owner, is here on the Zoom conference as well. She lives at 502 Rear Washington Street. This is a home that abuts the Mill River. You can see it. It's kind of a pork chop shaped lot with the arm of the pork chop coming out to Washington Street, just where Gee Avenue intersects Washington Street. The Mill River on that screenshot there is to the left of the property. And she has a failing seawall. A portion of the wall that's along the river has failed. That's the good portion where Adrian was just highlighting, and where she is now is the failing portion. It is severely eroded. That one bush that is in the middle of that hatched area, which signifies the area of erosion, that is clinging to the bank by a couple of exposed roots. And Susan is obviously very concerned to get some stabilization work done before the next winter storm season. So the area of work, as I said, the north would be straight up the page on the top side of the plan. Everything from the northerly property line to the existing shed is in fine shape. And we don't need to touch that at all. The area underneath the shed, and you can see there are some steps down to the water, and then to the southerly property line has been significantly undermined. It appears to have been a stacked boulder wall. whereas the northerly side was a masonry wall. It's a mortared granite wall. So there's the difference. And basically the wall is completely failed. And what we'd like to do is repair it by creating a new dry stacked boulder wall. We would backfill behind the wall, install filter fabric, and then backfill with double washed crushed stone, encapsulate that with the filter fabric, and then that would fill in the area that's been eroded. And then top it off with loam so it matches the rest of the backyard. The wall would stick up above grade by about 18 inches to mimic what's happening on the northerly side. Those stone steps would be repaired. All of this work, basically, we would match the toe of the existing wall right now and bring in some larger toe stones and then start building the wall up from there. There's just a typical cross-section detail of how the repair would look. There's some other ancillary repairs that, when we do a notice of intent, the question is, well, what else would you like to do? So up on the driveway, you see the driveway is kind of an odd shape as it approaches the house. And it really is confining once you pull down in there. So there's a small area, triangle of area that the owners would like to pave. It's about 80 square feet. And that would basically add enough space for another car to get in there. You can see right above Adrian's cursor right there are some proposed stone steps. You can see the topography, the contours there. Those are 1 foot contours, but it is a very steep slope down to the lower level of the rear yard. And we'd like to set in some granite block stairs in that location. And that will help Susan to negotiate from the upper level down to the lower level. And lastly, there is we'd like, where that bush is, we'd like to move that bush, bring it over to the southerly side of the property and install a little stone fire pit right there. So just little amenities that we are tossing into the plan, but the main concern here, the main focus is the repair of that wall there. Everything would be done on the land side. There's no work that was going to be done offshore. So we'll bring an excavator either down the driveway, or the neighbors to the south have actually offered that they would allow some delivery of material right into the yard from that point. You recall that you approved a plan to repair that house after it was burned. You just recently did that. So that's basically the gist of it. I think the commission has seen similar projects like this many, many times along the waterfront. And this is just another in a long line. It'll be repaired properly and, wrap the backfill within filter fabric. And that way the water, the tides come in, the tides go back out, but it doesn't pull the soil with it. So that's the extent of my presentation.
All right, thank you, sir. First, we'll go to public comment. Does anybody in the public who wishes to speak for or against the project at 502R Washington Street? You may do so now by using the raise your hand button at the bottom of your screen or hitting *9 on your phone or handheld device.
I see no members of the public to comment at this time.
Seeing none, hearing none, I'll close the public comment period. Commissioner roll call comments, please, Adrian.
Sure, for comments. Commissioner Charpentier.
None at this time.
Commissioner Cook.
The portion that's being repaired, I know Bill said that they're going to bring it up to the height of the one that's on the northern side. But I want to know if that's higher than the existing stone wall that's there. you know, basically you're trying to raise the height of the wall that's being repaired. And are you going to try to raise where the lawn is at all either?
Would you like me to address that now or go?
Why
through it,
not?
Tom?
Go ahead.
Okay. There is no wall on the south side of that shed. It's basically just completely failed. The reason we're not intending to raise the grade of the backyard, you could see it's about elevation 9 at basically the precipice of the erosion. And that's what it's going to be afterwards. Susan does want a little bit of a knee wall, about 18 inches high, so that people don't just sort of wander off the top of the wall. She didn't want that to be just a rock drop off. The slope is about a 1.5 or a 1-to-1 slope, so it is fairly steep. And that was the intention of just adding another course of boulder on top to raise it about 18 inches. It is dry set, so it's not intended to, keep water out. The tides, if they ever do get above that, the 100-year storm elevation is 13, which you could see is a heavy black line that almost reaches the house. The dry set wall is going to do nothing to impede the advance of the tides in a large storm event.
Okay, thank you, Bill. That's all I had.
Okay.
Okay, Commissioner Gradwell,
No comment.
Commissioner Sargent,
Yes, excuse me. On the plan, it says larger stones are proposed to be placed at the toe of the existing rubble. Are you extending the wall further seaward? And I didn't see any mitigation plan for 505 square feet of new impervious surface. And I'm wondering if there's a chapter 91 for the existing wall that shows that it's at mean high water.
You can answer.
So the intent would be to place those larger base stones right where the toe of the failed wall is. Those walls are not, or those stones that have sort of sloughed in there are not suitable to be the base course. So they're going to be salvaged, pulled back up, and the base stones would be put right where the existing base of the wall is now. So we're not intending to go seaward. I'm not aware of a chapter 91 license for the other wall that does extend. It looks like mean high does go up to that wall. I'm not aware if there is a license. And I think you had a third part of the question, Dave.
Yes, there is 505 feet of new impervious surface. I didn't see a mitigation plan.
Yeah, there is no, the actual impervious area is about 80 square feet, and that's for the driveway. The 505 was the amount of riverfront area impact, but that's not impervious. We figured the wall was about 75 feet long, and I figured about 5 feet of disturbance in the riverfront. So, but that's not going to be impervious. We are going to salvage that one bush and bring it down to the south along the south property line. We can add additional planting there to come up with, if we need to, 160 square feet.
Oh, we've made others do it, so I think it's going to be a requirement that you get a little more planting in there, at least to get us, over that 80.
Yep, and that's fine.
Okay. Who's next? Adrian.
Co-Chairwoman Jackson.
Yes, somewhere in the documentation, I saw an alternatives analysis for the wall. I did not see one for the new steps or the fire pit or the driveway. Do we need one for this project?
Really, the only alternatives for those three items are either allow it or don't allow it. The entire property, you see where the riverfront area line is, it's almost all the way up to Washington Street. So there's no way to provide those improvements and stay out of riverfront. The steps are really an important feature to, let's face it, nobody's getting any younger. And that is quite a drop from the driveway down to the lower lawn area. The
I
fire
don't
pit
think
is a
we're
nice
disputing,
amenity.
I don't think we're disputing the merits of it, but we want to be technically correct and whether or not maybe we should vote on, you know, Adrian, maybe you can chime in here. Should we have voted on it being a riverfront project and just developed, already previously developed, or is it small enough where we can just approve or disapprove as is?
I think this is redevelopment in the riverfront.
Yeah, that's what I figured.
Okay,
Should we vote on that first?
that works.
Or we can just consider redevelopment? Okay,
What, yeah, we can do that after we finish going through comments.
yeah, well, I think I'm the last one and I'm good.
Okay, then Commissioner Jackson moves to consider the project at 502R Washington Street, NOI 0282790 as a redevelopment project.
Charpentier seconds.
Roll call, Commissioner Charpentier,
Yes.
Commissioner Cook,
Yes.
Commissioner Gradwell,
Yes,
Commissioner Sargent,
Yes.
Co-Chairwoman Jackson,
Yes.
and Co-Chairman Gullah.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, well, I guess we move to close the hearing then?
Okay. Commissioner Jackson moves to close the public hearing for NOI 0282790 at 502R Washington Street.
Charpentier seconds.
And a roll call, Commissioner Charpentier,
Yes.
Commissioner Cook,
Yes.
Commissioner Gradwell,
yes,
Commissioner Sargent,
Yes.
Co-Chairwoman Jackson,
Yes.
and Co-Chairman Gullah.
Yes.
Commissioner Jackson moves to approve NOI 0282790 at 502R Washington Street with the aforementioned conditions.
Charpentier seconds.
And as just a point of information before we get started, can we cover those conditions as I'm rapidly making notes here?
Yes, so first would be no movement seaward with the new wall. We are allowing an 18-inch knee wall above the original grade, I would guess. We also want a minimum of mitigation to cover the 80 square feet that of impervious that has been created.
Okay, so
Are
that's
there any
the,
others? I think that's it.
okay, thank you. I will start the roll call. Commissioner Charpentier,
Yes.
Commissioner Cook,
Yes.
Commissioner Gradwell,
yes,
Commissioner Sargent,
Yes.
Co-Chairwoman Jackson,
Yes.
and Co-Chairman Gullah.
Yes,
Thank you.
All right, thank you.
you're welcome. Have a great night, unless you're coming back. Something else. Next up, notice of 1045 Norwood Heights, no DEP number. Andrews, Kelly Giles, Renova Environmental Company.
Oh, you skipped one. You
Did we
skipped
miss
one.
one?
We're on 26 Walker Street.
What the hell am I? Why are we on 26?
Why wouldn't we be?
Oh, I'm sorry. It's the revised agenda.
Ah,
I thought
Ah,
it was numbered.
okay.
This is the revised, not your fault. It's the revised agenda. He has a number, and so I moved him ahead of his compatriots.
Okay, so we're at 26 Walker Street?
We are.
Okay, so next up is notice of intent, no DEP number, 26 Walker Street, Walker, Dan Ottenheimer of Mill River Consulting representing.
Good evening, Commissioners. I was surprised as well, but thank you, Adrian. I appreciate that. And yes, we do have a file number. It's number 2791. Are the acoustics okay? Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah.
Great. All right. Just want to double check. So 26 Walker Street has an existing house on there. It's for the most part in disuse for the last 2 or 3 years or so. And so the primary activities that we're going to be discussing this evening associated with reconstituting that as a dwelling. But there's also other activities in the more upper part of the lot that we'd like to discuss with you as well. So just to refresh your memory, this is a 26-acre parcel at the end of Walker Street. Basically, Walker Street ends right about here. And there's an existing house up close to the road, and then there's a farm road that comes back into the property. This used to be Newman's Pig Farm. And thank you, Adrian. So there is a farm pond that exists in the middle. You can see the roadway that comes through there. We have been before the commission with an ANRAD to confirm the resource area boundaries, which essentially are BBW back here, BBW associated with the farm pond. There's a lovely stream that's riverfront that heads down to here. And then much of this lower area of this parcel is beautiful undisturbed marshland. And it then flows, it's channelized again in a historic stream cut that someone put in there, and it heads off site here as riverfront as well. So what we're primarily looking to do, if we look on the left-hand side, is a blow up around the house. So we're looking to replace the current cesspool with a contemporary septic system that's been, it's pretty state-of-the-art, and that's been approved by the Board of Health. On the rear of the house is an existing well that is an old hand-dug well, and we're obviously looking to abandon that and drill a new well. So you'll see that on the far side, the right side of the house, proposed new well to be constructed. That also location has been approved by the Board of Health. And the other thing on the area around the house, there's an existing fence that's in disrepair. We'd like to just repair it in its same location. And there's a very old and abandoned garden shed type structure right up against the bank of the stream. We'd like to remove that, and in where that's located, plant native species. There's obviously nothing growing there now. So that's what I would call kind of the upgrade type work in close proximity to the house. We are also looking to do a couple of activities to enhance the property further in. So one is there's a number of piles of metal and debris that have been collected there over the last year or so. There hasn't been any new activity to collect them, but we'd like to remove those from the site. And we obviously wanted to make sure the commission knew we were intending to do that. About half of those are jurisdictional within your jurisdiction, the other half are not, but we've shown them all on the site plan, so you can see where they're located. And then the other activity we'd like to do is just to better the property. We're not doing this as mitigation because we don't think we necessarily need to do mitigation for everything I just described, but the owner, Sarah Walker, really would like to enhance the property. So there's one area that would really benefit for some adjacent to a stream with some blueberry bush plantings. It would provide an edge to the driveway so that it would be clear the delineation between the driveway that exists and the stream that exists. And the other thing we'd like to do is there's a slope that's again outside the commission's jurisdiction. There you can see the shed that would want to be, so on the top picture is where we'd want to put the blueberries, and in the bottom picture is the shed that is clearly in disrepair. Thank you for showing these pictures, Adrian, that's great. So these are some of the debris piles and more of the debris piles. And more of the debris piles. So I don't have a picture of the slope. Again, it's outside the commission's jurisdiction, but there's about 2,000 to 3,000 square feet on that slope that we would like to plant with native species. So that's what we're looking to do. And certainly take any questions or concerns that the commission might have.
All right, let me go through public comment first. So anyone who wishes to speak for or against the project at 26 Walker Street, you may do so now by hitting the raise your hand button at the bottom of your screen or hitting *9 on your phone or handheld device.
I see no comments from the public at this time.
Seeing none, hearing none, I'll close the public comment period. Roll call comments from commissioners, Adrian, please.
Sure. Commissioner comments. Commissioner Charpentier,
This time,
Commissioner Cook.
The debris piles, how do you plan on removing them and with what equipment and getting down there and access to them?
You can answer.
Sure, excellent. Excellent question. They're all in an upland area. None of them are in a wetlands. So we would use, the bucket on the front of a machine to pick them up. The metal would be all put into a dumpster and brought off site. The brush would be obviously placed in a separate vehicle, probably more a dump truck, and then brought off site for disposal at a compost facility.
Okay, so everything's moving off site completely? All the debris?
Yes.
Okay,
Right.
thank you. That's it.
Okay, Commissioner Gradwell,
No comment at this time?
Commissioner Sargent,
Yes, photo 6 seems to show that there's some concrete pads. If there are, I'm wondering if those could also be removed. I suggest choosing native plantings that are deer resistant, particularly in that area.
Yeah. Good suggestion on the plantings. There are several concrete pads on the site. One we think was related to where there was some pigsties. Another one is where there was a barn. At this time, there is no plan to remove those. That could potentially be an expensive undertaking. So I'll certainly discuss it with the owner, but right now we're not requesting permission to do that. But it's a good suggestion. If it's okay with the commission, if you're comfortable, we'd like to not request that at this time. And we'd certainly, if we do that, we would, if jurisdictional, if they're located within your jurisdiction, we would obviously be back before you if we remove those.
Thank you.
okay. Co-Chairwoman Jackson,
Again, my only comment is if this is riverfront, do we need an alternatives analysis or is it redevelopment?
So thank you, Commissioner. We did provide a limited alternatives analysis within our report. I know there was a lot there. Because we also
Oh,
weren't
there
sure
it
if whether you wanted to consider this riverfront or not. So we figured we'd be a little proactive about that.
Well, I did see the alternatives analysis, but all of your alternatives were either do it or not. And I didn't know whether it would be wise to explore different locations for the septic and the well, for example.
So we certainly wouldn't want to cross the stream with either of those features. So we're limited to the area right around the house. And we obviously want to keep the well and the septic as far away from each other. So as Adrian's pointing out, we put the septic on one side of the house and the well on the other side of the house.
Well, I guess we're gonna go with the assumption this is redevelopment and we're okay with it.
Also, septic system repair is exempt from review under the riverfront regs. Some of the other tasks, like removing the shed, is not necessarily exempt from review, but they do specifically state that septic system upgrades are exempt from riverfront standards.
okay. Co-Chairman Gullah,
No comments at this time. So with that, I assume we're considering it redevelopment, but we still need to vote on it, just to be safe, I would. The only other item that really came up was the concrete. I get nervous, fellow Commissioner Sargent, that once you get into removing concrete, it's got soil loose soils and other things. So I'd rather them come under a different filing for that than what we see here. But other than that, I'm fine with it. And I don't know if Adrian has anything else to add.
I think so for this particular project. It's mostly finishing up what was already done here and bringing the home into building and public health compliance. So there's no reason not to move forward.
Okay. All right, so I guess we should do the vote on the alternatives analysis first.
Are we voting that it's redevelopment then?
Yes, I would think.
Okay. Commissioner Jackson moves to consider the project NOI 0282791 at 26 Walker Street as a redevelopment project.
Charpentier seconds.
And a roll call, Commissioner Charpentier,
Yes.
Commissioner Cook,
Yes.
Commissioner Gradwall,
Yes.
Commissioner Sargent,
Yes.
Co-Chairwoman Jackson,
Yes.
and Co-Chairman Gunn.
Yes.
Thank you.
Ready to move to close? Shall I do that?
Yep.
Okay, Commissioner Jackson moves to close the public hearing, NOI 0282791 at 26 Walker Street.
Charpentier seconds.
And a roll call, Commissioner Charpentier,
Yes.
Commissioner Cook,
Yes.
Commissioner Gradwell,
Yes.
Commissioner Sargent,
Yes.
Co-Chairwoman Jackson,
Yes.
and Co-Chairman Gullo.
Yes.
Thank you.
Commissioner Jackson moves to approve NOI 0282791 at 26 Walker Street with the aforementioned conditions.
Charpentier seconds.
And a roll call, Commissioner Charpentier,
Yes.
Commissioner Cook,
Yes.
Commissioner Gradwall,
Yes.
Commissioner Sargent,
Yes.
Co-Chairwoman Jackson,
Yes.
and Co-Chairman Gullo.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, with that, we're moving on to a few other projects. I'm going to request just a 5-minute recess.
Sure.
Before we wrap up the rest of this. So. it's
Thank you for your
7:50.
time, commissioners.
Thank you. So I'm going to take 5.
Okay, I'll set a timer.
Okay, thank you. Can you hear me, Anjo?
I can.
So what did you, are you off? Did you say you're not here next meeting or?
I'm here next meeting. I'm not here Monday for the site visit.
Oh, that was it. Okay.
Yeah, we're heading up to Maine on someday, Saturday.
Have you been up there a lot?
Actually a fair amount. I've been here the last few weeks, but we were up a fair amount during June. And
Has
yeah,
it been a wet mess up there too, or?
well, June is Black Fly month.
Oh.
So it was moist and hot and black fly-y. And there was very little fishing, a lot of rain. So yeah, it wasn't much better than it was down here.
Yeah.
Except down here doesn't have the black flies.
Yeah, we got the greenheads instead.
Yeah, truly.
But actually, they don't see, they were bad. I had gone down to get something at Farnham's and food wise, and I was getting eaten alive. And that was about, I don't know, 3-4 weeks ago, maybe now. And now they seem to be gone. I don't know. Seems like, I don't know if it's the wet weather or what, but I haven't been bitten by a greenhead in a while.
Yeah, we don't see many black flies over here.
Yeah. Yeah. It's gonna be mosquito crazy once this, with all this water pooling everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
Did anyone get any, we got some thunder here a few minutes ago, but now it looks like it's not.
Yeah, I was debating about leaping up to shut the windows.
It can come quick.
Sure can. That was quite a storm we had the other morning.
Yeah, that was, it is amazing how quick it can get put down. All right. Is everyone here? You want to unmute yourselves?
All right, everyone, welcome back.
Welcome. I do it to myself. I put all my coffee, my water, and body can't handle it. Okay. Next up, I have the new, I printed out the more up-to-date version, so I don't get yelled at again.
Yelled at you. I yelled at.
No, someone specifically said, I said, why are we on 26? And someone said, why not? Okay. All right, notice of intent 28- no DEP number 45 Norwood Heights, Andrews, Kelly Giles, Renova Environmental Company, representing.
Hi, thanks very much. This is Kelly Giles from Renova Environmental. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah.
Okay, great. So we have been, oh, would you like me to start my video? Is that necessary?
Wonderful.
Okay, just a moment. Okay. All right, so we've been contracted by the United States Coast Guard. We're working at the Annisquam Lighthouse property in Norwood Heights. What we're doing is completing soil remediation on the property of lead contaminated soils. So we've done a site investigation. We've delineated lead contaminated soils that are there from historic use of lead-based paint. What the Coast Guard is doing is excavation and removal of these soils and then replacement with clean fill material. So fill and then topsoil on top. Everything would be fully restored upon completion with seed and plantings. The ultimate goal of the Coast Guard for this project is to turn the property into a morale, welfare, and recreation program house. So it will serve as a location for vacations for service members and veterans. That is their ultimate goal. So they're completing cleanup of the property before they transfer it into that program. Our project, we are currently scheduled to begin the week of September 13th, hopefully, and it would be about a 6-week project. So our company would be completing the excavation. Ultimately, our dig depths are not going to be more than 3 feet in depth throughout the property. So happy to answer any questions that you have. I'm a little new at this process, so if I'm missing something, please let me know how I can help.
Okay, thanks. First step would be is we're gonna go through the public comment period. So anyone in the public who wishes to speak for or against the project at 45 Norwood Heights may do so now by either hitting the raise your hand button at the bottom of your screen or *9 on your phone or handheld device.
I see no comments from the public at this time.
Okay, then with that, seeing none, hearing none, a closed public comment period. Next up would be commissioner comments.
Commissioner comments. Commissioner Charpentier,
I have none at this time.
Commissioner Cook,
So they're not doing any lead removal from the building, the lighthouse or the house? It's just removing these soils, correct?
Well, we are actually doing some lead abatement work, not on the lighthouse itself, but we are working on the keeper's house, the garage, and there's a small oil house on the property as well, that we're removing lead-based paint from some painted foundations, the painted stone siding of the oil house, but nothing on the lighthouse itself.
Okay, and you guys are the experts. I stay out of it. It's a good thing to be done. I would just be concerned that if we go into a dry spell and we get really dry weather, you know, what's the plan to minimize any of it blowing around, moving around, things like that?
Well, the soil that we excavate, we plan to live load into trucks as soon as we possibly can to get it off the property. So we don't want to have stockpiles sitting around. If anything is stockpiled on the property, it will be put on plastic, surrounded by silt fence, and also covered with plastic. We also will silt fence around all of our open excavation areas to prevent erosion. So our goal is to not let anything spread into the streets or otherwise.
Okay, thank you. That's
You're
all.
welcome.
okay, Commissioner Bradwell,
No comment.
Commissioner Sargent,
I note that the lights on the Annisquam River, and I'm just wondering if the Riverfront Protection Act is applicable or not, and would require a alternative analysis.
No.
okay. Co-Chairwoman Jackson,
I would think this is almost a clearer case of redevelopment than I felt on some of the others we've discussed tonight. But other than that, I have no comments.
okay, and Co-Chairman Gullah.
I don't have any comments. This seems pretty straightforward. And if, you know, as Bill brought up, I think the only issue would be is, you know, transport and removal and how well that's taken care of. And that was explained pretty clearly. I think the only other wrinkle again is do we vote on do we consider it redevelopment, which I would agree with Ann Joe. This is closer to that than anything else we've dealt with tonight.
This is actually a limited project, so
Oh, okay.
Oh, okay.
it's already, yeah.
Oh, okay. So unless commissioners have anything else to add. I
They
think we-
have a number.
They do not, they are waiting for the fee.
Ah,
So we have to
Okay.
continue you, unfortunately, because we do not have a DEP number, so. All right.
Oh, okay. Does that mean that the DEP hasn't received our fee, or?
It does say in the comments, waiting for fee. So what that means is they've reviewed your project and don't have any technical comments. However, they don't issue a permit ID number until they have the money in the bank. So the checks haven't cleared.
Oh, wow, that's surprising. It was sent some time ago. Okay.
It's not uncommon.
Okay.
so when would you like to continue to our next meeting?
Is that a question for me?
Yes.
Yes, I'm sorry.
Yeah, I suppose whatever the next possible meeting is.
Okay, that would be August 4th.
Okay.
Okay.
There was a,
then-
can I interrupt? There was a time frame you mentioned when you were going to start this. Was it August or September?
September.
it was September. Okay, then she should be able to make it by then.
Yeah.
Yeah, It'll be okay.
Okay.
Okay. Then Commissioner Jackson moves to continue the project at 45 Norwood Heights for the unassigned DEP number to the meeting of August 4th.
Charpentier seconds?
And a roll call, Commissioner Charpentier,
Yes.
Commissioner Cook,
Yes.
Commissioner Gradwall,
Yes,
Commissioner Sargent,
Yes,
Co-Chairwoman Jackson,
Yes.
and Co-Chairman Goa.
Yes.
Thank you.
So we'll see you on August 4th.
Okay, great. Thank you,
Thank you.
everybody. Have a nice evening.
You
Thank
too.
you.
You too.
Next up, notice of intent 28- no DP number 8 Riggs Point Road, Valare, Whitman and Bingham Associates LLC representing.
Good evening, Mr. Chair, members of the commission. Everybody hear me?
Yep.
Perfect, thank you. For the record, my name is Brian Melissi. I'm an engineer with Whitman and Bingham Associates, here representing Mary Belair, the property owner at 8 Riggs Point Road. Just a quick bit of history on this. Back in 2011, we originally filed a notice of intent on this piece of property, received an order of conditions, and some of the work, you can see where on the plan where we show the location of the former house. The existing dilapidated house was raised, getting ready to build a new house, and there was some reservations going on and some hemming and hawing. And then the property owner at the time, Mary Belair, fell ill, and after a long battle, she ended up passing away last July. And during that time, they let the order of conditions for this property lapse, as well as the zoning board of appeals permit that we went and garnered on this piece of property. And so what this is a refiling, if you will. You'll see later on the agenda, we are on the agenda for a certificate of compliance to close out the old DEP file number and then to come get a new one, hopefully. We were in front of the zoning board of appeals just after the first of the year and have received an updated ZBA permit. Since it's an undersized lot, frontage issues and area issues. However, again, we have that ZBA permit in hand. This property, again, located at Riggs Point Road, so as the crow flies, approximately just a little more than half of the lot is located in the outer riparian zone of the Mill River. The inner riparian zone is off the property to plan, the upper left-hand corner of the plan or the west of the property. However, the property sits roughly 40 feet above the water level of the Mill River. And what the applicant would like to do is to construct a single-family home on the property. This plan that we have in front of you is essentially, and I should just point out, so the applicant now is Mary K. Belair. They refer to her as Kathy Belair. That's Mary's daughter. So we tried to make that distinction with Mary Kay and Mary. It's not the same person, but she's the executrix of the estate. Again, this plan is very similar, if not exactly similar, to the plan that was approved back in 2011. We've situated the proposed house kind of to the middle of the lot. It's not a very big lot. And we've actually moved it back just a little bit so we can, in order to get a couple of gravel parking spots in the front of the lot. The area is serviced by municipal sewer, municipal water, and there is a gas easement traversing the rear of the property right there, correct. So we did file a notice of intent, and again, the property owners would like to get an order of conditions to do that work. I know I was probably very quick, probably forgot half the stuff I was going to tell you, but I guess we can go over that if there's any questions.
No, it's clean and concise.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Okay, so next up would be we go to public comment. So anyone in the public who wishes to speak for or against the project at 8 Riggs Point Road may do so now. by hitting the raise your hand button or hitting *9 on your handheld device or phone.
I see no members of the public to comment at this time.
Seeing none, hearing none, I'll close the public comment period. Why don't we go right into it? We'll do roll call comments from the commissioners. Commissioner comments, please.
Sure. Commissioner Charpentier,
No comments?
Commissioner Cook,
No comments.
Commissioner Gradwell,
No comment.
Commissioner Sargent,
No comment.
Co-Chairwoman Jackson.
Have we discussed the increase in impervious surface yet?
No,
Okay,
we have not. Would you like to?
well, at some point, yes.
Okay. And Co-Chair Magala?
No comment other than, again, we're in Riverfront, correct? So
Yep.
we got to deal with that as well. So that was my only comment, is the Riverfront issue. And Joe, did you want to elaborate more on your comment?
Just that we usually require a delineation of what the increase in impervious surface will be with the corresponding mitigation. This pretty clearly looks to me like redevelopment.
Mm-hmm.
So if I may, Mr. Chair, you can see in the note table to the right of the plan, we did try to delineate the increase from a square footage and a percentage wise. And so we're going from about 9 to 19%. There's a increase of about 800 square feet of impervious area.
Okay, well, so usually the way especially in Riverfront, we try, you have some offsetting, we don't have an existing conditions plan to go by, but usually we take the existing footprint of the building, the impervious surface, and now you've created a new impervious surface that seems to be not significantly bigger than the existing house, but let's just say it's, 100 square feet bigger than the footprint of the existing house. You need to take the impervious surface as it was prior, and any increase in impervious, we expect 2-to-1, or the policy is 2-to-1 mitigation. So if you're over 100 square feet more in impervious now than you were prior, you owe the environment 200 square feet of new plantings. Now, this is a
Mr. Chair?
limited site. It's tough.
Mr.
Yep.
Chair, I believe he delineated the existing house as 644 square feet and the proposed house is 1380, which led to what he said was an increase of around 800 square feet.
No, I heard all that, but I didn't hear the 800 square feet. So that's fine. So, really, there's not a lot to do here. They've tried to plant as much, I think, as they can. I don't think they'll ever be able to get to 2-to-1 here.
No, probably not, but they're putting in the sewer.
Yeah.
So that helps, that kind of thing. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, if everyone else is okay with it, obviously this is not our standard fare. It's a pretty tight lot, pretty small lot. They have showing significant plantings, but I would we at least would do a 2-year mortality rate on the plantings. That would probably be a good condition. Any other comments, commissioners? Adrian, anything to add?
No, I don't think I have anything for this. Like I
Okay.
said, we have previously, as the applicant said, we have previously approved this project.
Okay.
And so it's been, I know, worked over once before. I do think it's a very robust planting plan in general. My only real concern is the rear lot line. You do start to have a pretty significant drop there. So when you install that hay bale and silt, it's going to have to be by survey because of the easement and then the drop behind it.
You understand that, sir?
We do, yep.
Okay. All right, then with that, unless anyone else has any comments, I say we move ahead and vote on the alternatives analysis issue first and move from there.
Okay, Commissioner Jackson moves to consider, what are we on? NOI, unassigned that DEP number, 8 Riggs Point Road as a redevelopment project.
Charpentier seconds.
And a roll call, Commissioner Charpentier,
Yes.
Commissioner Cook,
Yes.
Commissioner Gradwell,
Yes,
Commissioner Sargent,
Yes.
Co-Chairwoman Jackson,
Yes.
and Co-Chairman Gulla.
Yes.
Thank you.
So I'm sorry to say, sir, because DEP hasn't given us a number yet, we have to continue you to August, unless you want another date.
Yeah, no, we heard that in the previous hearing. Just to point out to the commission, we've been having a little bit of trouble with Northeast. Anything that isn't just a buffer zone project, Nero kind of seems to drag their feet. Yeah, just so you guys probably know that already.
Yeah.
The filing fee was already cast by the state. They already have that. Is there any way that the commission could vote on this, contingent upon receiving that number, or is it just a matter of,
Unfortunately, we can't.
Okay.
Without a DEP number, we just can't.
Okay, nope, thought I'd ask.
No, doesn't hurt to ask.
So, yeah, so what we would like to do, if it's okay with you and the rest of the commission, we'd like to get on the very next meeting, and we can try to ruffle some feathers over there at Nero and try to get us our file number.
Okay.
Okay, then Commissioner Jackson moves to continue the project at 8 Riggs Point Road for the unassigned DEP number to the meeting of August 4th.
Charpentier seconds.
And a roll call, Commissioner Charpentier,
Yes.
Commissioner Cook,
Yes.
Commissioner Gradwell,
yes,
Commissioner Sargent,
Yes.
Co-Chairwoman Jackson,
Yes.
and Co-Chairman Gulla.
Yes.
Thank you.
Good luck, sir.
Right, thank you very much. I'd like to thank the commission for their time. I appreciate it. And we'll see you on the 4th.
You're very welcome.
Thank you.
Next up, notice of intent 28, no DEP number, 8 Russ Road, Scudieri, John and Gateway Consultants representing.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and members of the commission. Once again, John Judd representing Jeffrey and Jen Scuteri. This is 8 Russ Road over on Rust Island. This is a project that is proposing to raise and reconstruct the existing dwelling on the property. This is associated with the riparian zone in the marsh over off of the tributary over behind Lobster Land that comes in off of the Annisquam River. So what you see on the plan there, thank you, Adrian, for putting that up, is the existing dwelling is the hatched and the proposed dwelling is darker. Where we have an existing gravel driveway that services the property, and that's going to pretty much remain the same. The existing septic system that serves the dwelling will remain. And we have a fairly robust planting plan that's prepared by Corliss Brothers that has native species that should be in your package as well. You can see the 1,630 square feet of mitigation. Thank you. The mitigation planting is to offset 200% offset of the proposed increase in impervious area that is tabulated on the site plan. So we are within the buffer zone to the mean high water. The proposed dwelling you can see is going to be no closer to the marsh. And we are going to have pretty significant planting that doesn't exist now that would be mitigating the 200% requirement. And so that's really, it's a reconstruction. We are lining everything with proposed stake silt fence during construction. So there'll be, you can see the limit there that Adrian has outlined. And that's a brief description. This is a redevelopment. So we are applying under a redevelopment under the Rivers Act. And we are outside the flood zone with the proposed structure. Jeff and Jen are on the line as well. If there's any questions, we can answer those at this time.
Okay, first step in the journey is public comment. At this time, I'll open up to the public. Anyone who is in the public who wishes to speak for or against the project at 8 Russ Road may do so now by hitting the raise your hand button at the bottom of your screen or hitting *9 on your phone or handheld device.
I see no members of the public to comment at this time.
Okay. Next up, why don't we go into commissioner comments?
Okay, for commissioners, Commissioner Charpentier,
No comments.
Commissioner Cook,
Yeah, it's Russ Road, but see where it says proposed gravel driveway going over to Craft Road. Where's the existing driveway? Is it not shown, or is that what it was?
That's where it is, and that's where it will continue to be, Bill.
Okay, because it says proposed, that's what I'm wondering.
It's existing and it's going to it's proposed to go over the same. You can see we're going to tighten it up a little bit. It's circular at this point. It comes into sort of a mini cul-de-sac. We're going to be removing some of that and have a turnaround and going in and out of the garage as shown.
Okay.
Oh, that's good. That's
Yeah, that was the only question I had.
Yeah.
That's better.
okay. Commissioner Gradwell,
No comment. Looked very complete to me.
Commissioner Sargent,
I'd like at least a 2-year monitoring of the mitigation plantings. And just a friendly suggestion, don't plant beach plums because deer love them.
Okay.
got it out for the deer tonight.
I know, the poor deer are getting hit taking it on the chin. Next up,
Co-Chairwoman Jackson
No comment.
and Co-Chairman Gullah.
no comments. Okay, so we got 2-year mortality. We're gonna tighten up the road. It is a little hard to read, but I get it now. I'm glad Bill asked. So we still have to vote on redevelopment, I believe, and I guess I don't have anything else if no one else does.
I just want to point out as a point of information for everyone before we start, although I know, Mr. Judd, you probably already know this project is not even on the dashboard yet.
Yep. Yeah, it's, as the previous applicant had said, we submitted this to DEP. They had the check. It's just, I think they're just inundated right now. So we understand it has to be continued.
Mm-hmm. Okay,
Okay, Commissioner Jackson moves to consider the project at 8 Russ Road with the unassigned DEP number as a redevelopment project.
Charpentier seconds.
Roll call, Commissioner Charpentier,
Yes.
Commissioner Cook,
Yes.
Commissioner Gradwell,
Yes.
Commissioner Sargent,
Yes.
Co-Chairwoman Jackson,
Yes.
and Co-Chairman Gullah.
yes.
Thank you.
So we're gonna move you to the 4th, John, is that right?
Yes, please. And we'll try to rattle the cage down there in Wilmington
You won't be alone.
for a file number. Yes, thank you.
Okay,
Okay, Commissioner Jackson moves to continue the project at 8 Russ Road with the unassigned DEP number to the meeting of August 4th, 2021.
Charpentier seconds.
And a roll call, Commissioner Charpentier,
Yes.
Commissioner Cook,
Yes.
Commissioner Gradwell,
Yes.
Commissioner Sargent,
Yes.
Co-Chairwoman Jackson,
Yes.
and Co-Chairman Gullah.
yes.
Thank you. August 4th.
All right, have a good night, sir.
Thank you.
We're not done yet.
No, I was talking to the applicant, I know.
No.
Next up, extension 28-2510, 28-2562, 18 Bayberry Lane, Coppola applicant.
Mr. Gullah,
Mhm.
Chairman Gullah, we have another hearing before us tonight.
Oh, God, I keep jumping ahead. Let's try that again. Notice of intent, 28-no DP number 6 Vine Street, Brooks, John Judd, Gateway Consultants representing. Tried to get
Thank
you.
you. Last one for John tonight. Thank you. Once again, John Judd representing Kevin and Debbie Brooks for their property at 6 Vine Street. This is a proposal for an elevated boardwalk to service, their existing float on Mill River. You can see that they have an existing not so elevated boardwalk. It's about 30 feet long that is right on top of the marsh, and it goes down into a seasonal ramp. You can see there's a existing PVC float and a boardwalk that's there. So what we're proposing is to follow the CZM guidelines and elevate this to have the appropriate separation vertically above the marsh, and use helical driven supports that would support this proposed 4-foot elevated boardwalk to go to a seasonal ramp and float in this more or less the same location on the Mill River. This is a 93 foot in length, this elevated boardwalk, and you can see we have a minimum of 3 to 4 feet in most spots above the salt marsh that extends from their property out to the tidal flat. And we're not exceeding the recommended float size that this commission likes to see. So we're essentially elevating an existing boardwalk over the marsh. And we are proposing helical ties for the PVC float that's out there. And we are proposing 18-inch high legs to ensure that we are above the mud flat at low tide. And that's a brief description. I know we're still looking for, Adrian, I'm not sure if you've seen any comments from Shellfish or TJ. I have not seen any yet, and obviously we still need that DEP file number.
I've not seen anything from the Harbor Master's office or Shellfish. I have received from the Division of Marine Fisheries, in lieu of a comment email with recommendations. The dock and pier recommendations say that the pier should be at 1.5 to 1 height to width ratio above the salt marsh, and the float should be 30 inches above the sediment. Otherwise, no concerns about the proposed project. So I think what we're aiming to do here is an improvement overall over the previous conditions in the eyes of the Division of Marine Fisheries. We will certainly have to hear from Shellfish about that, and also the Harbor Master with regard to navigability in the Mill River. It's getting tighter and tighter, of course, every year.
Okay. We want to, commissioner comments?
Comments of commissioners. Commissioner Charpentier.
No comments.
I'm sorry, we did not do public comment period.
Okay, I'll open up for public comment. Is anyone who wishes to speak for or against the project at 6 Vine Street? You may do so now by hitting the raise your hand button at the bottom of your screen, or hitting *9 on your phone or handheld device.
Okay, so there's a hand up. This is Christy. I'm going to allow you to talk and ask you to unmute. The floor is yours.
Hello?
Yeah.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Hi.
Hi.
So my name's Christy Grace, and I own the property at 554 Washington Street, which I have a water access to. My main concern is that if this project is approved, my property will no longer have water access. As it stands right now, a new dock at 548 Washington Street was approved before I owned the property and was just recently put in, which has caused my water access to be limited considerably already. The new pier project, if approved, will cut off basically all of my water access, making it very difficult to get a small boat, a small canoe, or even a tube through the tiny gap that will be left. The existing float on 6 Vine Street is 10 feet by 15 feet. The new proposed pier plan shows that the new float will be 10 feet by 15 feet, making the actual float 5 feet longer. I'm not sure if the plan was based on high tide or low tide, but that is something to take into consideration. The plan shows that the new dock will be relocated further out from the existing dock, making the footage and gap of water between the two docks, the one on Vine Street and the one on Washington Street, even smaller. Lastly, I would also like to point out that the extra space, the engine motors, ladders, ropes, etc., caused by sticking out off the end of both docks should be taken into consideration as well. We all have equal rights. We all should be able to, go into the water. My kids want to take their canoes out. It's very limited. And I think the plan doesn't show the actual, footage and how much room there is. And the relocation of the dock actually is a really big deal because it moves it in more and it comes out more, and the gap is almost completely will be closed. And thank you. That's all. I don't know how to get out of here.
No, thank you. Thank you very much. Anybody else with their hand up?
Nope, no additional comments at this time.
Seeing none, hearing none, I'll close the public comment period. I guess, Mr. Judd, based on that, I think you need a little, probably, I don't know if the harbor master is going to pick up on this or what, but I think it's going to require a little bit more work on your part to at least make sure this is all workable.
Yes, I'll speak to Kevin and Debbie, and we'll probably, based on the comments that I just heard, we'll probably bring it back to match that existing float line that currently exists to ensure that the abutters can obviously get through that channel.
Okay.
The idea you can see is we were hoping to get the back of the float right at the marsh, so we may be able to turn it 90 degrees to achieve that.
Okay, well, we appreciate anything you can do there. I'm sure the neighbors would too. All right, why don't we do commissioner comments?
Commissioners, Commissioner Charpentier,
No comments.
Commissioner Cook,
Actually, the only comment I had, and I mean, we're going to be dealing with this more and more, is I think that people across the street, the woman that just spoke, what she needs, I think what she really needs to do is talk to the harbor master, because if the harbor master is coming in and approving all of these floats, which we require him to do, he's got to be made aware of some of these situations that are starting to occur, so he can do it. For example, like she said, if we just approved a new one adjacent to her property that's impacting her ability to use her existing one, that information's got to get back to the harbor master. I mean, it's not coming from us, but it's got to come from the homeowners to get that information back to the harbor master. And he may have to start taking a tighter look at some of these, because we're seeing this up and down the river now with people trying to put in bigger and bigger docks constantly, and it is going to be an issue.
okay. Commissioner Gradwell,
Number one, he agrees with Mr. Cook. And number two, John had a good idea about just turning the thing 90 degrees and you would have a much different situation, except that it would limit their time that they would be able to get low tide would be more of an issue for them.
It's mud anyway at low tide, Barry. So, they understand it's a tidal float. So I think in keeping with the neighborhood harmony, I think it would be a good idea to turn that and to make sure everyone has access to that water.
okay. Commissioner Sargent,
Yeah, starting with the alternative analysis, just looking at the plan, I just didn't see how moving it to the east has greater impact than where you're proposing it now. It seems like there's less marsh if it's a little bit further to the east than where you're planning on putting it. I just don't quite see that in the plan. Maybe in the real world, you know, there's a difference, but you know, a little bit to the east, it seems to be a little bit less impact to the salt marsh. Also, I want the height of the proposed boardwalk over the salt marsh. I would prefer a greater than 1.5 to 1 height to width ratio, and I would like maybe 2 or 3 year monitoring of that salt marsh to make sure it isn't adversely impacted. And the location of the proposed dock seems likely that it'll impact the navigational rights of the neighbor's existing dock. The applicant would need to have a legal statement from the neighbor that this is really not an issue. And the applicant needs to have a written comment from the Shellfish Department and the harbor master, and the floating dock cannot be stored in the marsh.
Okay. Co-chairwoman Jackson.
I agree with Mr. Sargent's comments and heartily agree that the neighbor, Ms. Grace, should contact the harbor master as well.
Okay, very good. And co-chairman Gullah.
Yeah, everything my fellow commissioner said, I think this needs to be reworked a little bit. So I don't even think at this time we should vote on anything until we see what changes or doesn't change coming up. So I think we'll just go for a straight continuation here. If that
Okay.
makes sense.
Would you like to refer to harbor master and Shellfish in the interim?
Yes, please.
Okay.
And when did you want to continue to, Mr. Judd?
If we can go to August 4th.
You can have March.
Yeah, to August 4th, that would be preferable, and hopefully we can, get a response from Shellfish and Harbor Master, as well as DEP file number.
Okay. Then Commissioner Jackson moves to continue 6 Vine Street with an unassigned DEP number to the meeting of August 4th for the purpose of plan refinement, securing of harbor master and Shellfish comments, and DEP number assignation.
Okay.
Charpentier seconds.
And a roll call. Commissioner Charpentier.
Yes.
Commissioner Cook.
Yes.
Commissioner Gradwell.
Yes.
Commissioner Sargent.
Yes.
Co-chairwoman Jackson.
Yes.
And co-chairman Gullah.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr.
Thank you very
Chair.
much. Have a good night.
Have a good night. All right. Now can I go to other commission business?
You may.
I may. Extension 0282510 and 28-2562 18 Bayberry Lane.
Okay, I need to recuse myself on this one.
Oh, yeah. So I'm going to carry the rest of this home here. And I just want to show you this extension permit 2562. I don't know if you can see this or if it's just entirely too small. 2562 is for a project that the commission has approved where and the dune is actually growing on the side of Wingershik Beach, and every winter backfills against this house. And so we have an open order of conditions that you've approved to allow them to clear a path annually and actually move the sand in such a way that it improves access to the beach for everybody that uses that pathway. That is all. This one will stay open as long as the dune grows there.
Okay. Any comments, commissioners?
Nope.
Okay. So do we want to move this extension for
Yep.
how many years?
You can continue it for up to 3.
This one, I rarely go to 3, but this one seems like it's never going to change.
Okay, Commissioner Jackson moves to approve extension 0282510, 0282562 for a 3-year extension.
Carpentier seconds.
And a roll call, Commissioner Charpentier,
Yes.
Commissioner Cook.
He recused himself.
Oh, you were recused. Thank you. Commissioner Gradwall,
Yes.
Commissioner Sargent,
Yes.
Co-Chairwoman Jackson,
Yes.
and Co-Chairman Gullo.
Yes.
Thank you. Let me make a note here. Thank you. Okay, and then on to the finals here. I will walk through them all very quickly. 21 River Road was open. They have completed their planting plan. That one is over next to the Annisquam Lighthouse. 35 Salt Island Road and 110 Wheeler Street are both completed and stabilized. 8 Riggs Point Road we talked about earlier. It is the no work completed project that we have continued the hearing for. And then these two, 2485 and 2544, are the Annisquam River projects underwater right of way from National Grid, which we have actually, I believe, issued certificates of compliance for before. However, when they submitted it to us, their documents were backwards, flipped. We need to reissue it to them because they had recorded them. And now they have the wrong ones recorded. So that's the entire complement of certificates of compliance tonight.
Yeah.
Okay. Commissioner Jackson moves to approve the following requests for certificates of compliance: 28, 26, 74, 21 River Road, 28, 24, 77, 35 Salt Island Road, 28, 25, 49, 110 Wheeler Street, 28, 21, 51, 8 Riggs Point Road, 28, 24, 85 Annisquam River Project, 28, 25, 44 underground right of way in the Annisquam River Project.
Charpentier seconds.
And a roll call, Commissioner Charpentier,
Yes.
Commissioner Cook,
Yes.
Commissioner Gradwall,
Yes.
Commissioner Sargent,
Yes.
Co-Chairwoman Jackson,
Yes.
and Co-Chairman Gullo.
Yes, but I have to recuse on 110 Wheeler Street.
Okay, we'll have to take that out of cycle. Can you make us?
Or I can just abstain from all of them and be done with it.
Yeah, how about if you abstain from all? That's
There we
better.
go. I'll abstain from all.
Okay. Gullo abstains.
All right.
Thanks.
That was a big night. Well done, everybody.
Yeah, we're gonna take quite a few of them forward, but we did get to move 5 projects off the docket, so that's not bad.
Progress. Okay.
And we added a whole bunch new ones.
We
Except
added
that
7.
they'll be much easier.
We added
The
7.
new
but
ones
we-
that we added will be much easier.
Yeah, we got rid of 5, but we added 7.
Our own
net-
little
It's
synthesis
a net
bill.
increase of 2 units of impervious surface for the commission agenda.
All right, everybody. Thank you very much.
Adrian, before we go, Adrian, when do you think you'll have these ready for signatures? Today's.
I'll run them off tomorrow. I'll have them for tomorrow afternoon, probably. I have a 1 o'clock site, so they'll be down there before 1. I do have-
And then again, at the next meeting, as I believe it was Linda, I think we're going to discuss, you should think amongst yourselves and Adrian, your input as well. Obviously, you are a big part of this team, on when you want to go back to in-person meetings.
Just in time for the major snowstorms of the winter.
Yeah. Well, at least we know we have the ability, right? If we have to.
Nice to have options.
Yeah. All right, everybody. Be
Thank you,
safe.
everyone. We'll see you August 4 or sooner.
We need to move to adjourn.
Yes, one more.
So
thing.
moved.
Second.
And Commissioner Charpentier,
Yes.
Commissioner Cook,
Yes.
Commissioner Gradwall,
Absolutely.
Commissioner Sargent,
Yes.
Co-Chairwoman Jackson,
Yes.
and Co-Chairman Gullo.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you
Have a
all.
great
Be safe.
Oh, you look kind of scary.
I
Good night,
found the button.
Good night, Barry.